Change is inevitable in life, but it's how you handle the change that actually matters. So, how do you know when it's time, why, and how to actually pivot in your life and business? Well, stick around because in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. Hello, I am Brenda and I help people create an extraordinary life of freedom by empowering them to tap into their inner true potential. If you are new here, I encourage you to subscribe because every week I come out with a new episode on this topic. So today we're talking about pivoting, right? I'm actually a true huge Friends fan, so whether you are or not, I absolutely love them. And there's this episode where Ross has Rachel and Chandler, and they're trying to pivot this couch up a stairway. It's actually quite funny. And it just always comes to mind when I hear the word pivot, all right? But here's the thing. Most of the time, people really associate a pivot with struggle, like really trying to struggle to get that couch up. And the reality is a pivot can be one of the most inspiring, enlightening, and easiest things that you've ever done in your life, even though it may not feel like it in the moment. Because why? A pivot means change. And change usually makes us feel uncomfortable. It usually makes us feel a little bit uneasy because we don't know what's on the other side of change, right? And so that's a concept for a whole other training, but a pivot can really be helpful for you. In a lot of my presentations, there's a part in my slide where I show on the keynote slides where I show a picture of like a creek, right? Like kind of going down a mountain, and there's all these rocks. It's really pretty, but I use that, and maybe I can flash it up on the screen so you can see it, because the water has an option. The water has an option to go down this side where there's a bunch of rocks, and it's going to be an uphill road, and it'll have to find its way there, and there's water through there. But just a little bit over to the side, if the water kind of goes this way, it just streams down so easy and opens up into a nice big pool of water for it to continue running down. And it's like the perfect metaphor for a pivot, because so many people really try to stay in that lane, stay in that area of where they were because they're just there. This is where you're most of the time in the middle. Either you follow the path of life that you were designed, or at some point you get to life and you think and you're just like, well, this is how it is. This is what I'm going to be doing. And first off, that's absolutely not true. But you struggle or you're stuck in that rut and you're just going up those rocks. When the reality is you could just make a decision. You could make a pivot and life just opens up for you and so many things come to you. So that being said, when do you know, like when inside of you, should you know it's time to pivot? Something's off in your life. And first off, it's listening to your emotions. That's the first thing. A lot of this stuff is listening to our emotions. We're usually taught to smush down our emotions, not listen to them. I certainly was that person. I did that for many, many, many years, and it didn't serve me. It actually put me in positions that I shouldn't have been in because I wasn't listening to my intuition. I wasn't listening to my emotions. And so that's the first one. If you're really just not enjoying what you're doing, if you're finding yourself just feeling blah, there's a reason for that. Something in your life or your business or your career or something needs to have a little bit of pivot to it. All right. If you feel like you're always catching up, like you're a little bit behind, if you've hit that plateau, you're just there. It's not like you're going to be getting a promotion or you're not really sure how to get your business going. If your perspective has changed, maybe this was exactly what you wanted to do and you got everything out of it. And now you're just feeling like, okay, I've got 20, 30, 40, 50 years left. Is this all? Is this what I'm going to do? If you have any of those emotions, listen to them. They're there telling you, that's what our emotions are for. They're telling you, hey, it's time to pivot. It's time to do something. And so it's up to you to decide, where does this pivot occur? Where is this coming from in my life? Is it your personal life? Is it relationships? And it's never really outside. It's not outside of you. The pivot, these feelings, these emotions, you may feel that it's your boss or it's your spouse or it's your children or it's this thing that's being put upon you. It certainly may feel like that. But to take a moment and recognize that it's not this outside stuff, it's inside of you. Where is it that you're feeling these things, and why would a pivot be okay? What would that pivot actually look like? And I'm going to give you another perspective on this, because if you go to the opposite side of that, where you're feeling all these lackluster things, if you have a pivot, if there's something out there that you're like, I've been, I've been an online marketer forever. I'll just use my perfect example for this. Like, I taught people how to grow and scale businesses on the internet for like 10 years, super successful and very business strategy and doing all of that. But towards the end of that time, I was like, I've done this for 10 years. I've been very successful. I've helped a lot of people, but I have a passion in a different direction. I want to help them in this way, because if I can help them this way, oh my gosh, everything lights up, right? So I started to feel a passion towards something else. And that's usually where a pivot can come from. Like, you just start to feel this passion for something else. And that's why it's a good thing to pivot. And that's why pivots can be the most amazing thing, because if you're forcing yourself to do something, you're pushing against it. You would rather do something else, but having a passion for something, you're being pulled. You are being absolutely pulled. You want to do it. You're thinking about it. You're researching it more. It feels good. It feels easy. That's what life is about, feeling easy, feeling good. You have excitement when you think about what you're going to be doing, or who you're going to be spending time with, or what you're going to be doing by yourself. You're having this excitement. And when you have excitement, that excitement can turn into joy. And when you have joy, joy is a choice, right? You can be happy without joy, right? But joy is a choice. And when you're feeling this joy, things happen quickly. There's a momentum with joy that really just starts to ooze out, and abundance comes back to you. And so pivots usually will create excitement. They will usually create joy, which then in turn makes things a lot more fun and brings you a lot more opportunities to you. And there's a phrase here that dramatically changed my life around after I left a very unhealthy marriage of 16 years, and I ventured into this very unknown world of 3 kids, single mom, owning a business, nothing to catch me if I fall type of thing, almost escaping some crappy situations. I was lost for a little while. It was a massive pivot, and I chose this pivot, but that pivot became a little bit exciting because I chose to have it as exciting versus negative. I definitely had a choice, but what I did is I really followed my happiness factor. I made that term up. It might be out there, but I made it up for me, and my happiness became a compass. And if it didn't feel good inside, and it didn't even matter if it didn't make sense. That's the crazy part. I'll probably do an entire video on that. It's crazy that a lot of the stuff that I did back in 2017 didn't even make any sense. I had literally left with $1,000 to my name, 3 kids, and not even gonna be able to own my house and stay there. How did I go there to traveling to, I think it was 11 different vacations in 6 different countries by the end of that year? Like, it's crazy when I look back and think of it, but here's the thing. I followed my happiness factor, and if it didn't feel good, I didn't do it. And I had some massive pivots, and I just allowed them to happen. And so I'm actually speaking from experience that pivots, even though you have no clue how it's going to work out, if you really focus on feeling, really, it's a strange thing, but focusing on feeling, those pivots can be the best thing that's ever happened to you. Right? So that's why it really might be perfect for you to just think like, how can I try this? And it doesn't have to be this huge lifestyle switch. You can start small and just say, you know what, instead of eating meat for the rest of the next 90 days, I'm going to go vegetarian because I really want to see how my body feels. Maybe that's causing some of these aches and pains, and I'm not endorsing any of that. It's just a smaller example. Or maybe it's just the fact that I'm going to give myself 15 minutes every single day to do something. Now that's not really a pivot. That's kind of more of a habit building procedure. But you know what? Sometimes you got to start with wherever you can start from. Okay. The last thing really is how do you actually do this pivot? Right? How does this physically work out? For one, you can just cold turkey it. And sometimes you get to that point where you're like, screw it, I'm done. You're out of here, and you just pivot. Those are probably the easiest ones to just go for it, because you turned it and you can't go back, right? So you got nowhere to go but forward, and that's great because you got your back up against the wall and you just go for it, right? So, but if you have some choice, if you have some time to think about it and ponder it, and it's the type of personality you might have, well, maybe it's time to do a little bit of a pros and cons list. Absolutely, you can kind of list some things out depending on how big your scenario is. But I just want to caution you one thing on doing it that way. If it's really easy to just write these lists and you look at these cons and you're like, there's just no way. There's no way that it could happen. Because if I would have done a pros and cons list in many areas of my life, actually, the cons would have won out. And I would not be the person that I am today. I would not have the life that I have today because those cons made more sense on paper. But if you really, do that, because, you usually make decisions, you want to make decisions emotionally, but you justify them with logic. But if you see logic right in front of you, sometimes it's hard for you to be like, I'm going to trust my emotion more than this stuff. Like, here's my reality, but I think I'm just going to go with this because it might not make any sense to you. So I do caution you a little bit, but sometimes it's good to just get this stuff out of your head. So plan out some scenarios. What would this possibly look like? Encourage you to keep away the how. Just keep away the how a little bit. Sometimes that doesn't matter. I know you'll want it to matter sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't matter. And truthfully, you will succeed a lot faster when you go follow your happiness factor. So a lot of the how is your happiness factor, because when that happens, when you're pulled, when you're excited, your success in business, your success in life really, really starts to follow. Okay. So just kind of like thinking about these things, having a pivot really is all internal. You can blame the people that are outside and blame the situations that you're in, but a pivot happens inside of you. You can make it external. Sometimes it's just pivoting on the way that you feel about things, the way that you really, you surrender, you let go, you forgive, and that pivot in life can just dramatically change your entire happiness factor because you've let go some baggage that's just holding you down. All right. Now, that all being said, what I would love to do is encourage you to click a link below. It'll be below this video, it'll be below this text, wherever you're looking here, and get more information about our 14-day breakthrough challenge. Because here's the thing. We have this really cool challenge. It's a breakthrough challenge. Breakthroughs, oh my gosh, they're the unlimited potential that comes from a breakthrough, the unlimited possibilities. And so if you're not sure where this pivot might come from, if you're not even sure what area of your life needs a pivot, this breakthrough challenge that we do consistently, it may be open, it may be not, but we give you some cool things and some breakthrough series, these videos, if it's not actually open until it opens up. But this breakthrough challenge, having a breakthrough, really, really, really just changes the way you think about things and gives you a lot of clarity on where you might want to be pivoting in life or what things you want to do. And so I encourage you, if you have, well, I was going to say if you've not gone through our challenge, but even if you have, people go through it multiple times because you become new people. Definitely click the link below. Go get more information about the 14-day challenge. Find out when our next one is. Find out when we're having that, because I promise you it's guaranteed to give you a breakthrough, which will really help guide you in some of these areas of your life and maybe decide whether or not you do need a pivot. Maybe it's just a way that you pivot inside your mind. All right. So hopefully you've got some little nuggets from this video today. I hope so. Leave me a comment below. Let me know, and subscribe. And that way you'll be notified when I do either go live or come up with a new topic for you to help you increase your extraordinary life of freedom and just basically live the life that you were destined to live. Again, this is Brenda Gagne. Have a great day. Bye-bye.